For more than 12 years, the West Somerset Railway has struggled to stay alive and puffing. More than once, its admirers and shareholders have had to put their hands in their pockets to bail it out. The West Somerset is a full-sized railway and can count more stations along its 20-mile run than British Rail has in the whole of Somerset. To board the train, passengers have to make their way to Bishop's Lydeard, which has hardly changed in 80 years, 3.5 miles from Taunton. When British Rail owned the line, it went right through, and that's always been a problem for the West Somerset. However, once on its way to Minehead, the train encounters the Quantock Hills and buries itself in some of Britain's most beautiful countryside. Then Blue Anchor Bay hoves into view. Unlike other private lines, the West Somerset stays open all the year round, and after 20 miles, you really feel as if you've travelled somewhere. There's another distinction. The West Somerset isn't exclusively a tourist attraction. The line also supports a diesel car service, linking the isolated villages along its route. Winding through the wooded valleys, the single-track line has passing loops, where new pleasures for the eye appear around every bend. Go on, why not hop off at Williton, the halfway point, and go back again on a choice piece of West Somerset restoration. We'll go on to Minehead. The original railway reached Minehead in 1872 by way of the old 7-foot broad gauge line from Norton Fitzwarren to Watchet. The Bristol and Exeter Railway took it over a few years later, before being absorbed by the mighty Great Western. Linked to the outside world, Minehead was discovered by the Victorians, and then again by Billy Butlin, who built one of his first holiday camps there. Prosperity flowed in. Dozens of large Victorian villas were turned into guest houses to accommodate the trippers, and many an elegant front garden gave way to a car park. But it's a familiar story. Intrepid motorists negotiated the twisting roads, and like so many other branch lines, steam began to lose the battle with the internal combustion engine. British Rail allowed the loss-making line to escape Dr. Beeching's axe for some time, but on the 2nd day of January 1971, it swung, and the West Country mourned. It was a sad but quiet wake. Steam was a fading memory. There were no coffins or wreaths tied to the trains, symbolically to bury the line. But passengers came from all over the country to pay their last respects. The line was quickly run down and fell into neglect, unwanted and largely forgotten by the town that once couldn't do without it. Station buildings were being vandalized and platforms became unrecognizable. Behind closed doors, plans were being formulated to reopen the line. British Rail had decided to sell it, crucially with lines and track bed intact. The West Somerset Railway Company was born, but Somerset County Council outbid them at the sale, bought the freehold, and leased back to the company just what was essential to run a railway. But in 1975, after 5 years hibernation, the line awoke. 45 people came in on a job creation program, and volunteers joined them to give the line a facelift. Locomotives had to be searched out and hauled to Minehead by road. Carriages were spruced up for the passengers to come. Finally, the line was all set for its much-awaited rebirth. The line reopened on the 28th of March 1976. In his grandfather's top hat, Lord Montague of Bewley flagged away the first passenger train for over 5 years. "250 privileged enthusiasts paid £3 each for the 7-mile round trip to Blue Anchor. 2 days later, the company went public. At the time, sceptics said it would become just another museum piece. The West Somerset Railway set out to prove them wrong, and for the first season, tourists flocked to the line. But their two steam engines, Victor and Vulcan, were really unsuitable, having been built in 1950 and designed for shunting, not for steady passenger hauling on a 20-mile branch line. Breakdowns became more frequent, and when passengers are frustrated by cancellations, they tend not to come back. But Vulcan was to have its moment of glory. In the early part of 1978, the West Country all but disappeared under a huge snowfall. It was the railway's finest hour.
This is Roger Bennett with Radio Bristol News. Large parts of West Somerset are still cut off from the outside world today. Roads are blocked by 6-foot snowdrifts, but on the West Somerset Railway, the little steam locomotive Vulcan has been used to cut a path through the snow, enabling diesel trains to bring in food and supplies to farms and outlying villages. This has enabled the farmers to get much-needed feeding stuffs to their animals. The County Council think it'll be another 2 weeks before all the roads are open again. In the meantime, the privately run railway is doing a roaring trade.
The crisis brought the company some welcome extra funds, but despite those magic ingredients of steam, sea and scenery, the railway was still losing money. Management changes and resignations came and went. In 1981, losses of £250,000 were revealed. Expensive steam trains might have to be discontinued altogether, only keeping the diesel services. But they struggled on and slowly achieved a turnaround. How was it done?
Initially by cutting back. We had a great deal of heart searching. We had to cut back on almost everything we did and start again. And from that rebirth came the West Somerset Railway as we know it today. We always hope to be running steam trains in the future. It is, after all, our heritage. It's the very reason we're here. They are the attraction. They are the beginning and the end of the line. Steam brings people.
Yeah, I'm from Australia, and I'm here because I think steam's great. I'm a fanatic.
Absolutely brilliant.
Thoroughly enjoyable, kept him occupied and excited.
It's fantastic. You know, we were on the Severn Valley Railway last week, so we thought we must come down and run on this one as well.
Nostalgia, yes, that's right. I came up in the age of steam myself, and it's nice to go back to it.
Suddenly, the station at Minehead was welcoming visitors from 9 to 90. In a fever of excitement, the company issued its own postage stamps. Enthusiasts are always avid to find out everything they possibly can about the line, and usually make straight for the operations manager with their questions. Chris Van Dennerand.
You do get a lot of questions from passengers if you're standing around on the platform in uniform and recognisable. We get all sorts of questions as to where the trains go or when the next train is, which is frequently just after one's gone out.
Tell me the time of the next train, please.
Yes, sir. 6:30.
The railway operates both with hardcore paid staff, over 20 at the present time. They are supported by a very dedicated, hard-working team of volunteers. It is a team. It's a teamwork operation. And both the paid staff and the volunteers work harmoniously to ensure that the line is a success. It's enjoyed by all.
The volunteer staff at Crocombe Station do more than watch the trains go by. The lad porter is Ted Cubitt, author and electrical supervisor. Jean Hodge is a housewife and lady porter. The man doing some spade work is her husband, Michael, an insurance inspector. That's Walter Harris, a retired headmaster, giving the lawn a trim. Michael and Walter are joint station masters and pay a membership fee for the privilege of working on the railway.
Well, now that I've retired, it keeps me very busy, because not only do I help at this station, I also help on the publicity of the railway, taking timetables around to caravan sites and that sort of thing. My father was a railway signalman. I was born and bred on the railways in Cornwall and in Plymouth. I'm quite accustomed to it.
I'm a great believer in railways as a means of transport, generally. When this line closed in 1971, I was very anxious to become involved with it, to see it continue as a means of communication.
I've always been interested in trains, and particularly steam trains, right from as a little child. And I think that coming down here and actually working on the railway, you get the feel of the thing, which you don't get by sort of just looking at pictures. And there's a nice bunch of lads here, and we've all been friends for many years. And we've got a good team here, and I thoroughly enjoy it. You know, I spend more time here than I should do now, I think.
I've been working down at the stations since 1975, and quite honestly, I never really get tired when the train comes along. It's a thrill of seeing the train. Also, there's also, of course, the responsibility of checking the passengers get on and off all right, the doors are all closed, and so on.
Crocombe looks a picture now and is top of the West Somerset Railway's Best Kept Station League, a remarkable transformation from 14 years ago.
When we first started here at the station, the weeds were above platform height, coming up from the track bed. We had to get pickaxes and pickaxe our way through the ballast in order to clear it, and that took quite a long time. The building also was badly vandalized. The County Council made our building a Grade 2 listed building, and I'm sure that they have us to be grateful for that.
A gold medal at Chelsea Flower Show couldn't be more appreciated than this award. When the steam boiler was replaced by the diesel engine, a great number of locomotives were simply abandoned. Once the pride and joy of the men who drove them and cared for them, these mighty machines were left for dead. Nothing special, just a number on the firebox door, 53808.
BR pensioned it off rather unceremoniously, and her and her sister, 89, were both taken over to Barry Scrapyard, where they were left to rot. Yeah, she spent all her working life on the Somerset and Dorset, running between Bath and Bournemouth, worked right through to the end of 1964. Work designed for passenger work, yet they've been noted to even Paul the Pines Express. 1969, the Somerset and Dorset Trust bought it with the hope of restoring it. The lads at Washford started to take it apart, slowly, surely, bit by bit, got to the point that the engine was about 8 to 9 feet up in the air without its wheels. If the boiler's no good, it's pointless buying a wreck that you may have to spend 60 or 80,000 just on the boiler. You're talking 100,000 to restore a locomotive these days.
Now there's fire in her belly. With a 60-year-old working life behind her, she's starting a new one with the Somerset and Dorset Trust, who saved her from the scrap heap. Dave Williams, WSR driver and fitter, was on the footplate.
It was a terrific anticlimax when the regulator was opened for the first time, and it moved without any coaxing. It was a marvellous feeling after putting in all those hours, long nights, that it actually worked at the end of it all. And I could feel a pair of eyes burning the back of my neck. Donald Beale, a man who spent all his working life on the S&D, and I felt very nervous. Not nervous at driving the loco, nervous in case I did anything wrong, while that man was on the footplate with me. Donald just whispered over my shoulder, "Go on, boy, give her a bit more." It's the first time she'd been on a big train since we put her back into steam. Just over 23 years since she last had that weight behind her. And the feeling was absolutely incredible. And, you know, it just went as if there was no load on it at all. It would have been nice if Washford Bank had been the bank from Radstock to Masbury. 7 mile, 1 in 50. That really would have been a day out. And we could have seen what she'd do. It's the first time I've seen grown men cry. I've seen a 19-year restoration job actually come to the end. A very tight curve at the top here now, so round to the right and then swing left into watches. Oh yeah. She don't like it. No. She goes round it all right. Yeah. They're being so long that the wheel
The Friends of Stogumber are determined to move up the best-kept station league. Joseph and Iris Horn, the line's most senior volunteers, are happy to go on living at the station master's house at Stogumber, which they've occupied for over 40 years. Joseph is 85 now and was a signalman on the main line and the Minehead branch.
Well, it's nostalgic, mostly, but it's interesting meeting people from various parts of the world, really. And we find it very friendly and very interesting. We look forward to coming down here every day, all year round.
When I was a signalman at Willington, we did have flooding, but not so bad as it was in 1877, in Broadgate days. During that time, we had crossing keepers at 3 places on this branch, and these were all ladies, because it was much cheaper to employ a woman than a man. Today has been superseded by automatic crossing lights, of course, which is also labour saving. But I think it's very nice to see the steam trains come back again, especially the tender engines. It reminds me very much of the 30s and 40s when I was a signalman on the main line. If I had my time over again, I'd definitely work on the railways. I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it.
Further up the line, Robert Lindley, draftsman and volunteer station master, and Joseph Horn have an age gap of 60 years between them.
I've always had an interest in railways, and I enjoy coming down here. I like to try and recreate the atmosphere of the Great Western to help for the general public, the holiday makers, to see what it's like.
Ken Noy has risen to be the volunteer signalman.
I was never a signalman. I just learnt the job from other people and passed out as a signalman 4 years ago. I got a great deal of satisfaction in seeing the trains come, opening the gates, seeing them through and getting them depart, and seeing the people enjoying themselves.
Well, the signal box itself dates from 1904. The frame is the original frame still that you see, still working, going strong. The equipment here is all authentic. All of the old type things that you'd find, we tried to collect and to make it as a working museum.
Blue anchor, Bishop City train.
signal box must have one of the best outlooks in the country, straight over the bay. You've got the steam trains coming in all the time. I never really tire from that scene, and of course it's a scene that not many people see these days, and you see the look on children's faces and that as they see the steam engines coming in, and that is where I get my enjoyment from.
As we said before, this is a real railway, and they have to face scrutiny at the highest professional level. Company General Manager Doug Hill.
Safety is very important on any private railway, just as important as on British Rail. And as such, we work the same way as they do. We have a training instructor, we have people instructing drivers, firemen, separate ones for each different job. After the instructions, they have to be passed out by a British Rail examiner. Anything that happens on the railway is just as interested to the Railway Inspectorate as though it is on British Rail.
But there yet has to be a settlement satisfactory to both sides of a knotty problem which has bedeviled the railway. There's always been high hopes that one day passengers from all over Britain could join the West Somerset Railway at Taunton Station from the old Minehead Bay, which has been empty now for nearly 20 years. But because agreement for its use can't be reached, passengers to the West Somerset have to transfer to a bus.
Well, we have been talking to British Rail about the possibility of their operating trains from all over Britain to Taunton and then running through to this line at Bishop's Lydeard, so that they have the benefit of the long trunk, bringing in 400, 450 passengers at a time, which will transfer to a steam train at Bishop's Lydeard and to Minehead, and the benefits of Exmoor and all that we offer.
The ideal arrangement, undoubtedly, is that we have separate railway from the West Somerset Railway into Taunton, i.e. they don't actually come onto our tracks at all. If they do come onto our tracks, there is no shadow of doubt they would have to be manned by BR staff. We couldn't possibly accept West Somerset Railway staff working the trains. The trains here are running extremely fast, 100 miles an hour, in the future maybe even faster, and it's absolutely crucial that we maintain safety standards. We are currently examining with them the practicability of running special trains through using our stock and locomotives as far as Bishop's Lydeard. But I believe that the majority of the financial benefits will go towards them rather than towards us.
When the branch line closed in 1971, a replacement bus service between Taunton and Minehead was actually staffed by the National Union of Railwaymen. The fear is that these jobs could be lost by allowing the WSR into Taunton Station. Alan Kemp for the NUR.
The busmen in the southwest are NUR as well as the railwaymen, because historically the railway companies own the bus companies. The situation hasn't changed dramatically. Now, as we see it, the public have got a reliable service at the moment from Minehead to Taunton, and our members have got jobs and a certain amount of job protection, and we don't want to jeopardise it. It comes under Murphy's second law of engineering, which is, as you probably know, if it's working, leave it alone.
One scheme that holds out some promise is whether a West Somerset Railway platform could be sited here, next to Taunton Cider Works at Norton Fitzwarren. British Rail freight wagons carry away the taste of Somerset all over the country from here, so it's still connected to the National Rail network. Long ago, trains branched away from this point to Barnstaple, Ilfracombe and Minehead. Today, trains hurry past to Exeter and places further afield. The old Bristol and Exeter Railway and the Great Western had plans for this country junction, but now only the freight trains stop here. Under the proposals, though, passengers coming into Taunton from all over Britain could transfer to another British Rail train for the 2.5-mile trip to Norton Fitzwarren, and there they'd join the West Somerset Railway steam trains. So would the cider company welcome rail passengers? Brian Longstaff is Operations Director.
As a company, we would like to see some sort of station, some sort of halt for passengers recreated. There are going to be more tourists. because it would be a great help to us and the West Somerset Railway. There is an element of safety. We are a commercial operation. We do need, in fact, to ensure that we can carry on our day-to-day business without interruption. We would like to help the West Somerset Railway by allowing them to run through the siding. By arrangement, we think we can do this at weekends. All we need to do is to move our freight wagons out of the way so that the passenger traffic can pass through.
I don't see intercity trains calling there at any stage, but the new Sprinter service certainly would give us opportunities to effect an interchange there.
I haven't talked with the West Somerset Light Railway or BR on this matter for years. Certainly something, I mean, we consider we're reasonable people. We'll look at almost anything.
So, perhaps Norton Fitzwarren will come back to life again. Weighed down for so many years by rents and rocketing running costs, special occasions when veteran drivers like the great Donald Beale are treated like pop stars are proving real gravy trains for the railway. This event, the Somerset and Dorset Day in Gala Week, was a money-spinning turning point in the line's fortunes. And there does seem to be a new recognition of this line's priceless value to the area it serves. Humphrey Temperley for Somerset County Council.
We see it as having enormous potential for the Somerset tourist. We would like the railway to be operating on its own. We'd like it to be independent, and we think this kind of railway is better off on its own. The company is now going to have a share launch, and they're intending to raise about £500,000. £500,000 will buy lots of new stock, new locomotives, and will buy a long lease, 99-year lease, from the County Council.
This will give us the security we need to develop the railway further. We won't be in a position to rape the line or develop it for other commercial purposes away from a railway. There'll be more trains next year than ever we've run before.
The West Somerset Railway Company are proud that they are at last showing an encouraging profit, where, after all, the mighty British Rail failed. It's the teamwork between staff and volunteers that makes it possible. Steam, sea and scenery and the railway worshippers are making it happen.
Please visit our website for news about new productions that are on the way, and you can support my work on my Patreon page. Thank you.